at least you can see that we're moving it down. When we first put integrity on, we were having problems running with it. We found out because when we loaded the data that certain pieces were crashing. And so we put it in production, or the AZED's production, and we're finding out where those problems were happening and fixing it as we go.
I fully respect your need to load them to the effect. Before we go live, is it reasonable to ask them to push out all of our district AZ stuff?
Yes.
Okay, so let me get through this and let me answer that question later. Because I do want to get through some of this information of showing you the system status page. One of the other changes we did that rolled out last night is you'll see reports in the AZED's portal. In the reports, the reason we did this is so that you can see reports that are tied to this. We have 4 categories of reports. The first category are our transaction reports. That's data coming into AZEDs and data going out of AZEDs. That does not, since those reports are helpful for troubleshooting, they're not tied to the processing here. The second type of report are our verification reports. That's the raw data that your system that you submitted, we do 0 calculations or processing on it so that you can do just comparison. The third type of data or reports are the integrity reports. If you run integrity out of AZEDs, you want to look at the screen because the data is as of February 6th. And then the fourth that we'll have that we're working on is the ADM, which we'll put the ADM job on this page when we put it into production. And then you can see those ADM reports. You can check the jobs to see what the data would be as of that time. And to give you an example, our Trans 11 report, the data that moves from AZEDs to SACE, if you look at that report, this is the last time the job ran, so the report is as of that date. And then Keith, if you want to pull up the Trans 99 report.
I just want to give one clarification as well. Those that have been running the reports from AZ-, they are still on AZ- throughout the end of this school year. So this will be the place, we're opening it up here now, and this will be the place that we'll have it next year. So your AZ's reports will be on the type of portal.
So if you guys want to know where your file is on SACE, we've got 3 files right now that SACE is processing. So tonight, the AZEDs to SACE job will run. We do a check before we run it. Because if we have files that are in here from AZEDs to SACE, that job will not run until those files clear, and then we'll do another run. So that's why this will tell you the SACE aspect where the files are. So this type of communication that we're giving to you guys is to show you where the system is, the status of the system. And anybody can go and check and look at that. The next type of communication is more on the AZED's website. And I'll have Keith navigate there. This tells you where we are and what we're working on the project. So if you go down, and if you go into AZED's, I'll let Keith navigate down. We have information on the reports, and we have technical documentation. How many people actually go to the website to get information? Good. Nice. So if you go ahead and go into the AZED's reports. So this talks about our development process, and then the accordion, reports, development status, and SACE equivalent. These are our reports. As you can see, we have reports that we still need to be developed. But if you let Keith scroll down, we've got a lot of reports we have to develop. But what this is telling you is where we are in the process of development. So the ones that we're working on, the STUD 74, and what was the other one that 79, are going to be the next to roll into production. And then after that, we're looking at the ADM component, the ADM reports. We had to finalize testing of ACE, which we're doing right now, and now we're looking at, okay, now that we can create the ADM, now let's create the reports to it. We go back, or scroll down. This is kind of an accordion style. This also tells you what we're anticipating the reports to roll out as. Now, we focused a lot on reports. We have some dashboards that we'll have to put in here and some system tools as well. But this at least shows you the priority. I'm a big fan of force ranking our work so you see what's coming next. The next accordion, this talks about some of the known issues and some of the documentation. So we have Bree, who's back at ADE, and she goes over the quick reference guides. And so she tells you what the reports are, how to run through the reports, and how to read them. If you keep going down, I'm just going to run through this. So we have the system portal, the rules. Actually, if we go to rules, that's these rules. And by the way, when I showed you the system status page, we have ADM job. That's the membership rules and the accountability rules. We'll fix that so the two tie. So anytime we work on integrity, you can go and actually look at the rules that we're running. How many people actually go and look at the rules? So I think when you start looking at the integrity report, this may be a little bit more helpful, but if you just want to pull it up, just one of like membership rules. So the new error codes, a description of what they mean, and some of that error message. So when you run integrity, it kind of ties back to which rule we're running. That's something I'll look into, because I know when we looked into this, we originally wanted one report that you can navigate through because we have a tool that we just export out. But I think for the website we had to use the PDFs, but I'll definitely revisit that.
Randall, can you repeat that question?
So the question was, is there a way to export all the rules into one report?
No, I meant more older reports, like if you click on, like they're just so like you have to keep clicking, keep clicking. So instead of having to keep clicking, you just have to one click and download all of them. That's what.
Oh, all the quick reference guides.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I see what you mean. So I'll ask. The last thing I wanted to talk through is problem management. So one of the things that we were hearing is, we have a lot of problems with AZs to SACE. So a couple weeks ago, we actually made a process change. Well, we created a process, and it's quick, down and dirty. And what we did is we have a list of all the problems that we're working on that my team looks at, and at 9:15 we discuss them, and we brought the program areas in to discuss them with us. The program areas are now looking at the problems and helping us prioritize which ones need to be worked first. They move those to the top, and they're helping to actually describe what the impact is. So what's critical there is, if you ask an IT person, what's the impact of this problem, they're going to say, we have one ticket or we have 5,000 students tied to it. They don't truly understand what the impact is. That's why we're working with the program areas so that they can tell us, well, these students aren't in, so they're not going to be in the federal reporting. Or they'll tell us, this problem is preventing payments from going out. And so those are the ones that we're prioritizing to the top. Since we're working with the program areas, we're providing them some Excel reports that they can use to actually contact some of you guys. Because they can look to see, and they're working with us to say, is there a technical problem that we know of right now that's preventing people from submitting data? And if so, they'll look at that. If not, they'll reach out and call you guys to say, I think there may be some training in the fact how you enter data in. So can you please enter the data in this way to make sure that it goes through? Because we also put in some of the metrics, and we're in process of finalizing that today, as to what's the difference between counts between AZEDs and SACE. So from a student count and just student count, we've done really good over the last few weeks to get to a better number. A few weeks ago, when we looked at it, we were 24% difference between the two systems. Today, we're more at a 0.02 with just student counts. Now we're adding additional metrics, SPED counts, ELL counts, what's the data, and now we're diving into what's the differences that are causing it. And that's also being done with the program areas so that they're aware. And if it's something that's a training, they'll reach out and call you. So with that, those are the 3 ways we can try to improve communication, but I'm always looking for feedback. Please let me know if these work and if they're not working, because then we can look at another avenue as well.
And when Randall says, please let him know, I'm going to take questions, because we do have some time, and I want to get Lyle up here and give him an extra few minutes, because there's some important things he's got to talk about. But when you have suggestions, run them through our service center, because I want Randall focused on fixing problems, and he does care about you passionately, but I have my objective of trying to get this done. And you know, so everybody knows that when I came here and they said that you have to replace SACE, that was given to me by the governor. That's why I was hired, to replace SACE. I never thought it would be this one. I thought I'd be making $1 million somewhere else by now. And then I fell in love with kids and how important what you guys do. But this is not my idea, you know, so it's not necessarily that, and there might have been 100 ways to do this. I applied a supply chain model and a configuration model that worked for me in the past. We're doing the best we can. So now I'm going to open it up for questions, because I know that there's some pent-up questions. And I have to start with you, because you didn't get your question answered. And you're going to walk the microphone around, and you might have to be there to answer it anyway.
I do have an answer.
But while he's doing that, I'm going to let you know that there are differences between SACE and AZEDs. We had and this is something we didn't talk about, is that we had districts, JLBC, certain districts, and I'm not going to point the names of the people in the districts that came, because then you're going to go pile on them. I won't do that. That reviewed every integrity rule in the new system and every aggregation rule. There's like 5 that we have to fix. That's pretty dang good. All right, so, but I'm not going to tell you the number, but we're working, our staff, our 4th floor and the GLBC are working together when this number gets public. And you know that we have your back. The full agency is not, though there is a difference, so don't try to, you're not going to make it equal. It's because SACE didn't process right, and it is now. But they'll make you whole. It just means calculation changes or whatever, but that's the objective, right? Once this gets done, I know you're going to say, well, I don't trust the legislature, but our superintendent is fully on board and fighting this, and we've been communicating with them. They're aware. They've told the full legislature, so I know everybody's aware. So don't be panicking about, oh my God, 'cause some of you are figuring it out, because you can see it, and you're saying, what? And I just want you to know that we're working very closely. We know we're working, so I don't want you to panic. Okay? Please.
And then if I understood your question, the question was, when you transition onto AZEDs, you have data that's there already, correct? And then the second part of it, I don't want,
Why?
can that data be removed?
No. I am not cleaning out AZETs. AZETs will clean out July 1st. I will remove it all on July 1st. It's not a test site. This is a, if what you're asking is a test site, because that takes a lot of people manpower. And for me just to circle just your data and leave everybody else's data, it's too hard. I can't do that in the short time I have. I really understand what you're asking, but I think the data should, if you replace your data, it should replace into AZETs. It should drop down. Should. But SACE does things that I'm not going to fix. And this is just to give you transparency. The real thing is to move to AZETs, and then it becomes real. And that's a trust factor between districts and their vendors and us. I understand. But if you want to, and I'm not putting anybody's name that, but I heard, and Norm, you'd have to tell me if it was a lie. I heard that, Vail said they have less support based on AZET's cost versus SACE. Is that a fact, or
Less support?
on your staff?
Currently, no. Currently, it's more because, it's all new and we've got issues to resolve. So currently, no.
You're working issues for those.
Currently it's a lot more work because we've got, and as everyone knows, we were the first to go live, so.
You got the most issues.
Yeah, so we've still got issues from earlier in the year. You guys won't have to deal with, hopefully, because we've been working through them with ADE. So, but currently, there's a lot more work, hopefully, down the road, next year or whatever, SACE will be gone, it'll be less work.
Yeah,
Right
two
now,
systems
we've got-
make more work.
Yeah, so right now we've got the issue of AZETs and working out all the newness of that, and we've got some syncing issues to deal with, data being out of sync, and then, of course, we've got the whole AZETs to SACE process. So, yeah, so currently it's a lot more work, but
You
hopefully-
see a vision that this will be easier in the future.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So that's what, now any change, especially for you, your team did amazing. And the fact that you took the bullet for a lot of people in this room that don't have to do what you had to do. And I appreciate that. And I talked to Cal Baker, as you know. I have a lot of respect for what you guys do, but the vision is going to get better. We got to get through this year. I've been warning you for 2 years. Nobody believes it, but the oceans, when the ocean's getting close and you think your house is going to get grounded? The ocean's close.
I'm just curious, talking about some of the data being still there, you can't get rid of some of the data from SACE to AZX. How is that going to look when we do the statewide calculation to make sure all the data is consistent with what we have in our food management?
So let me try to walk through this, because it's a very complex question you just asked. Remember, we're paying through SACE. So statewide calculation will be done on SACE, not on AZETs. So as long as your SACE is accurate, and our job is to try, if you're on AZETs, our job is to make sure your data gets into AZETs to make it accurate. One way or the other, we're gonna make sure it's accurate, so that you can do statewide recalc. Once this, so FY 2001 to now was calculated, let's say we're at the end of the year and we're in the next year. It was all calculated based on SACE. Obviously, FY 17 won't be exactly like FY, there won't be apples and oranges. It'd be apples and oranges, not apples. So, but that's the reason why we have to cut over on a year end. I mean, I floated an idea, which is just an idea. Well, let's just make AZETs a system of record this year and just re-push everybody. Because then I would get rid of this frickin' bridge that's going up to SACE. I'd only have the bridge going down. They haven't come back to me yet. I'm trying to think of ways to make this easier, because AZETs is working. But we've promised to keep SACE a system of record, and that's what we're doing. I'm just coming up with that idea. We'll come back.
She had her hand up for a while.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So the communication is great, the reports are great. We keep pushing the date out as far as districts going live with AZS. We're now down to 3 and 4 months. Are you guys gonna be able to handle that amount of data?
Where's Greg? Yes.
It's hard to feel confident in that when we're trying to do uploads and it's taking 4 and 5 days and ADE is down just like a week and a half ago or so.
Yeah,
So that makes us, that's part of our stress and anxiety level
Well,
as well.
remember when I told you that everybody's submitting everything? That never happened before.
Not everybody.
Well, it's not everybody,
Understandable.
but I'm having
Hang on.
millions of transactions that I never had come to SACE. Never happened, and it's, everybody's pushing into SACE. I don't know who everybody is, I'm not sitting here with a list of names of here's everybody. But it's not happened year over year, so something happened this year that's different, and it crashed it. And SACE is on its last legs. There's not much I can do, it's often, it's operating on DB, it's on Windows 2000, it's on,
Is there a way to find those districts and you guys get with them so they don't do that?
school finance
That
is,
would make us feel better.
school finance is working as we find things. We've become very close to school finance and saying, let's work through this. And the fact you got 2 channels open. SACE was not designed to have an on-ramp called AZEDS. That's why I came up with the idea, let's just get rid of that bridge right back
But you
down.
understand where the confidence comes from.
And I can't do anything. I can't blow up SACE and start over. I just don't have the money. So it's, I'm transparent with you. Processing slow. This year's gonna suck. I'm sorry if that word offended anybody, but that's how I feel every day. Every day I come in and I just want to say, wow, can't this be easier? It's not. And I feel your pain, and I know you don't think I do, but I do. I just wish I had a magic wand, but I don't. This is a pure legacy system that I'm trying to bridge in so that you get your data in. And we're even coming up with creative ways, like AZ Merit. We merged AZ Merit with AZEDS with SACE to get you AZ Merits submitted, because we didn't want to hurt you. So we're doing everything we can to make you whole. And I understand that I've gotten lots of emails saying, why is it so slow? I go put a little more food in the mouse cage, and the mouse just laughs at me.
My question is for you. When you said you take we send to AZ Eds, we're with Power School, and then you pull what the vendor sent to AZ Eds, then you put it to SACE. So what I'm finding is, used to be when we had a student re-enroll, their original dates would go from August 3rd up until now. But what I saw is Power School is just sending the current enrollment, which is going over to SACE, which is wiping away my original enrollment.
Help there,
So
Norm.
I can't control how it goes over to SACE because we're.
Can we take that issue offline? Because I don't think, I need more specifics. That sounds like
Yeah, we would need to look at her data in AZEDS, but Power School in general is not doing that. Power School is sending the data to AZEDS. But somehow the AZEDS to SACE process has probably processed it out of order. And that's one of the sinking things that you guys have been working on.
Yeah, we do have, when I told you that SACE processes things in a certain way, A through D, and, or A through F, A, B, C, D, E, F. AZEDS processes, and where a process fails, from AZEDS to SACE, it doesn't rerun. No, you should communicate with us so we can know that, or we can communicate back to you when it's fixed. We are fixing these as they come up, but I want to know that you might find something different. And I do want us to have a ticket to, so we can solve it.
Let's make sure everyone knows, this is a common thing where the data.
Thanks, Norm. I didn't bring you in to be the.
That's okay. So this is a situation where the data has landed in AZEDS, the data is correct in AZEDS, but because of the issues with the AZEDS to SACE process, only part of the data has made it to SACE. So now you've got some missing data, missing enrollment. So that's one of the things that they're working on to resolve the AZETS to SACE process.
And Lyle, Randall, could you say how much improvement we made, just so they know? I know 100% is what they want, but let's just talk about it.
From relative to the fact that the February 2nd was when we submitted data, and that was basically a week before we submitted data February 9th again. We were anticipating that to take close to 5 to 6 days. We were able to put a fix in to reduce that down to 50%. So that's one way of where we've been able to.
I'm talking about the sync. How many are out of sync from percentage of numbers? You know?
Oh, the out of sync? Okay, so I don't have the,
Because just ballpark it.
well, because I believe we're around, have to do.
Lyle will give you exact specifics.
Around 10% of that, rough math on that. I'm very much aware of the issue, Norm, that you brought up, and I know Greg's aware of that issue and has more detail on it, and we're working with PowerSchool. One of the things I was going to say is, now that we're moving to a system-to-system communication, before you'd have a system generate a file and then upload it into AZEDS. Now we have two systems talking. We're finding problems with two systems talking. It takes longer to fix those, but once those do get fixed, it will be easier. And that's why sometimes working through these issues, we have to work closely with the sys vendors to get those resolved.
But we do want to solve it. Even if it's if we have 30 tickets, open it, let us talk to you so we can make sure that they understand. You might have a new one, and I want to find a new one.
I forget all my ticket numbers and I just.
So you have this open?
She
What-
does.
okay.
She does.
Okay.
Actually, we looked at it yesterday, Roberta. So you're on my list.
And I haven't done my ST, so.
Okay. You're
We'll,
okay.
we'll work with you.
We have roughly 15 problems that we have for AZEDS to SACE compared to the 3 problems that we have on AZEDS. But we are tracking those problems and we tie the tickets in so that we can validate what those are. And then I do know Greg and Andrew are following up and making sure that those do get resolved.
Yeah.
Any other questions? One in the back there. Thank you.
Hi, I just want to know, has there been any thought about if we have, I know we're supposed to look at our status files, what's been submitted, and I just wanted to know if there's been any thought about when a file fails and it's like invalid data in the file, if there's any notification to the district or a said person to tell them what the invalid data is? I mean...
Randall, you might want to ask more specifics on that one, but...
Well, we just, we had a file that failed like 22 times. I mean, it was over the course of 3 weeks. And I made several calls in, and I did find out eventually that it was a comma within like a name where you have a field name of Jose, comma, Jr. And obviously, if we had had that file to view, we probably would have been able to see that and correct it. And I don't know if the system is automatically trying to fix each record and then resubmitting and it finds it again. And I mean, is there any way that we would have been, I mean, unless I called, I didn't know to fix it in my database.
So the errors between AZEDS and SACE, all the errors are reporting in 2 reports. Trans 11, which shows the types of data that's missing, and then the SACE SDDI does show those types of errors. So the comma issue, that I'm very much aware of that issue, did show some of the problems there. And then once we've determined that it was a system problem, we turned it into a problem, then we started working to get it resolved. And I believe we worked with Saba, and this is where the partnership is starting to happen with the program areas, where then somebody, I think, from school finance reached out and explained what was happening so that some of the data could change.
I was just wondering when there was going to be a finalized list of support programs for the student needs. The use case notes of December 15th, that area of the use case notes is completely blank. It just says support program. And I know several of them are being discontinued because I've called and talked to people at ADE, And I know that's something that for a lot of districts is of concern, particularly the number of discontinued codes. And AZEDS hasn't been really widely publicized. Like, I remember a couple years ago when it was talked about getting rid of the unknown code for the nighttime residents for homeless. There was some real concern expressed in this ASCUS meeting. And now that's going away and it hasn't really been talked about a lot. Nobody's really, so would there be a way, there's a document on your website